Two lawmakers from opposite sides of the aisle have introduced a resolution to condemn the baseless conspiracy QAnon. The fringe theory is gaining notoriety in national politics. Democratic Congressman Tom Malinowski and Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman call QAnon a danger in their legislation, adding that it has no place in Washington. Yesterday, the RNC sidelined a video from a speaker after the Daily Beast reported she encouraged her Twitter followers to read an anti-Semitic QAnon conspiracy theory. The FBI has labeled QAnon as a potential domestic terror threat. As some lawmakers begin to speak out against it, focus is also on social media companies and the role they play in giving these messages a platform. Let's bring in CNET senior producer Dan Patterson, who has reported extensively on QAnon. Dan, thanks very much for being with us. QAnon did not originate on mainstream social media, but it's found a home there. How is the conspiracy theory spreading across platforms?
You are absolutely correct, Elaine. QAnon originated on the 4chan message board, and then it hopped to 8chan. These are both obscure message boards that pride themselves on being a little offensive at times. They are absolutely obscure. What happened after was not obscure. 8chan and 4chan kind of amplified the movement of QAnon into mainstream social media sites like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Discord. Particularly on YouTube, 8chan or QAnon found a home because they were able to create media that backed up or was created in support of a lot of the, as you said, baseless conspiracies that the group believes. And because QAnon is not one organization that you can just cancel or remove, it is an idea, and it is an idea that is constantly evolving. It has become incredibly difficult for internet platforms to kind of find and, if not totally get rid of, at least moderate. So QAnon has proven to be a particularly large challenge for these massive internet platforms.
And so how exactly are social media companies trying to deal with QAnon?
Well, for a long time, they did little, if nothing. But recently, as in this summer, last month, Facebook banned 790 QAnon groups. Twitter took very similar action, and YouTube is starting to tamp down on similar accounts. Discord started to take action about a year, 18 months or so ago. But I tell you, Elaine, I talk with these internet platforms on a daily basis, and a number of their spokespeople empathize with the challenges that QAnon presents, but they absolutely will not talk on record, and they won't provide insights beyond what they publish on their own site's blog. So it's hard to really get a sense of the scale or the actions that are actually being taken without the filter of PR telling you, hey, this is what we published on the Facebook newsroom blog. As a reporter, this has been really frustrating because I want to get a sense of not just the size of these groups and these conspiracies, but the actual activities of engineers, developers, programmers inside Facebook and YouTube, these organizations that are heavily driven by algorithms, and these algorithms really favor engagement, which is what QAnon is particularly good at doing. So again, QAnon spreads across the social web because they're good at exploiting algorithms, but the social platforms have been really opaque in talking about the processes under which, by which they're trying to tamp down some of this activity.
So, Dan, if that is the case, is it even clear how these companies manage policing QAnon while also being mindful of censoring free speech? Is that even clear right now, if and how they're trying to strike that balance?
Well, that is a very delicate balance. And of course, these internet platforms are not, there is no First Amendment issue happening here. But I will share a metaphor with you that when I was last in San Francisco with a fairly high level former Facebooker, they used this metaphor. It was pretty common, in fact, across the tech industry last fall. He said to me, look, think of Facebook as a bar. You can come into Facebook and you can get drunk. You can even be kind of rowdy and offensive. But the second you break a bottle and start to threaten another patron, I have the right to kick you out. deplatforming you or removing you from my bar is the same as me saying this is a private establishment. It's not a First Amendment. It's not a free speech issue. It's me saying I don't like you threatening people or using violent terms inside my bar. Now, of course, that metaphor isn't perfect, but it's a pretty good way to think of these internet platforms, or it's a good way to think of how these internet platforms think of themselves. However, there is this unspoken issue, which is QAnon drives a lot of traffic, as does a lot of these internet conspiracies. And I think that a lot of the internet platforms are really challenged right now. They don't want to be regulated. They don't want to actually censor free speech. They do want to be a place where people can come and discuss ideas, however controversial those ideas might be. But it's really hard when you have a group that is exploiting algorithms and threatening people.
All right, it's a story I know you'll continue to follow. Dan Patterson for us. Dan, thank you very much.
Good to see you, Elaine.